Good evening. It is 7 over here in Atlanta, Georgia. My name is Waukesha Howe, community champion. And I want to start by saying we are not bought and paid by anyone. We are here to have a natural conversation. We did some interviews with some candidates a few weeks ago, and you can go check them out on YouTube. We got kind of interested in who was running because here in Atlanta, we have a school board race going on right now. We have early voting happening right now, and the date for the actual election, November the 7th, 2023. So we got interested. We wanted to follow the money. As you know, this is what this conversation is about. And so I said, okay, let me go look around. Let me go do some research. And so I found some interesting stuff that we're going to talk about tonight. And so we wanted to know who was running for school board, who was sending this money, and what was the agenda behind it. So here is some points. District 1, 3, 5, and 7, and 9 have people running. Katie Howard is running for District 1, and she's running unopposed. As of right now, she raised about $18,000. Okay. There's nobody's in that race. So District 3, we have Michelle and we have Ken. You can go look all this up yourself. I just put the term allegedly because that's what people say now. But I did go look some stuff up myself, so you'll see this if you just go look. You can go look at the campaign disclosure that will show you what I'm talking about. So as of right now, District 3, Michelle didn't raise anything. Kenzel, he raised about $50,000. District 5, we have Raynard Johnson, he didn't raise anything. And Erica, she raised about 46,000. In District 7, I said District 5. Okay, District 7, we have Will, he raised about 1,100. We have Tamara, she raised 16,000, and we have Shivi who raised about 23,000. In what is this? District 9, we have Nikoi. She raised about 25,000, and we have Jessica who raised about 26,000. So those are just some numbers of what people have raised throughout the span of this racing. It's coming to an end really soon. And so I went looking because we had a conversation this week and some things came up that I was really concerned about. My younger sister was telling me about a young lady, she had got killed. And so I did have a conversation along with a lot of other people with a board member, just talking about what is the city doing around the violence that's happening here. And so, that where is the real authentic conversation? And I also want to lift up the fact that we really do need peace overseas. I know there's a lot of terrible things happening, and my thoughts and prayers are with those families and those individuals who have to experience that. But here in Atlanta, we have our own war here. We have a war on the youth. Like that's what we have. And we have so many young people dying. And so when my sister told me her classmate passed away, that really got me going and really got me to look at, what we really doing here in the city of Atlanta. And so I went through each campaign disclosure and I went back to probably about July. And so I just looked through to see who donated. And here in Atlanta, I learned something very, very, very new. Is that now, this did not used to be the case, but now in the school board race, you can donate up to $3,300 to a particular candidate. And so I found so many interesting things. I know we're not gonna have enough time tonight, but I just want to hit on some key stuff that we found. Uh-oh. That hurt. Okay, Miss Johnson, you had came off mute. I'm sorry. And so I seen a few things. I was like, oh my God, like this is interesting. So for me, I truly care about protecting our public school. I have nothing against nobody else, private, charter, homeschool, unschool. I have nothing against none of those individuals. But what I do understand is that our tax dollars go towards our public school. And I can tell you right now in the city of Atlanta, even though we have a high graduation rate, we are not getting the educational return on our investment. And so I learned that certain candidates, there were a lot of Teach for America, there were a lot of educational funding that was dumped in those races. And it's just really concerning because we need people, whether you agree with me or not, we need people who are truly here for the children. And we hear that all the time, right? One thing I can appreciate about Atlanta School Board, this current board, is that they did what they had to do. And the first step was removing the superintendent. They had to remove her, and we have an interim. And so with that, we had a lot of people in roles, and some things were getting done, some on wasn't. What I do understand, looking at the data and going to a lot of the school meetings, is that our children that look just like me in the city of Atlanta, is behind. And Atlanta is number one for equity and inequality. You know, you have so many people here where this is the Black Mecca. You have so many people here living in poverty, and no one is really having a conversation around how do we change this? How do we fix this? And so I noticed that a lot of these candidates, some that, like they said, you can go back and watch the interviews, they threw their name in the ring, you know, and I've done it before, so I understand, you know, but I was looking at some of these names. I saw like some almost like dummy business that was donating to certain candidates that I thought was very I thought that was crazy. Because here's the thing, things like that really shows, you know, how people feel about us in this city. You think that we're not smart enough to go and look at this stuff and do our own research to find out that you're giving us nothing, you know. And people have came to us in these interviews and they gave their speech, and you know, it was these talks about all kids, but you can actually go to the city of Atlanta website and you can check out, you know, people's campaign disclosures, and you can see, oh my gosh, like, look at what's going on here. You know, we have so many candidates that put their name in. Some of them good, some of them may be bad. But a lot of them never make it up to those seats of 9 where you get these people who make the decision. And you know, we have 9 board members, 1 through 9. And so it takes 5 people to get something done. Hey, Miss Sherelle, I'm happy you was able to jump on. And so we just kicked off the conversation. I was talking about the campaign disclosures and a lot of the things that I saw when I looked. And I wanna I'm gonna be fair. I'm gonna try not to call people names and stuff like that, but I might. I don't know. I seen businesses that I thought was I thought it was very interesting. And I'm gonna go here, and Miss Sherelle, if you want to jump in, let me know. That's my lovely co-host here. um I saw that people who was doing business with the school was donating to individuals' campaign. Here's where I have a problem and where it gets kind of concerning for me. When it comes time to vote on a matter, have you or will you abstain? And I can tell you that people have voted for these people interest, knowing that they had donated to their campaign. And so that there for me, that's a big red flag. And it tells me that, you know, this is an election right now, but we got some more people to remove from our school board. Because if you and I'll say we got for example, we have a candidate that's running unopposed. That it is what it is. That it is what it is. But when you have these ties and people say, oh, it's not, you know, ethics issue. But I'm just gonna say I just find it hard if you work for the city and you work for the school, like, and you have to vote and make decisions, and people donate to your campaign, and you may or may not vote on the matter. That it gets real tricky for me. Miss Sherelle, you could jump in anytime you want to. Um, I'm very concerned. I have pages like I went through and wrote down some stuff, and the amount of people and individuals, businesses that donated thousands of dollars, and it makes me think, have they invested in a particular school? I seen money that came from outside of this state. In the school board race, it came from outside of the state. I seen people who are unemployed, because you have to put that on there. Ms. Johnson, I know you know about that. It say they're unemployed, but they donated $3,000. And hey, they might got it like that. I'm gonna be fair, everybody ain't broke, and I absolutely understand that. But I am very afraid that we're getting in the bed with some people, and it just shouldn't even be. And I'm gonna say this, and I'll open up the space. For so long in this city, we have had Black leadership, but it's like the Black people in the city it's moving backwards. Like, people are not having higher paid jobs. Children are dropping out of school. Children are getting kicked out of school. They are losing their lives. That's why I kind of got upset the other day when my sister told me her classmate passed away. And I'm just like, okay, now we got to do something, because our last mayor, we saw him in a picture with our superintendent. We saw our school board members standing with developers and talking to developers in picture with, listen, ain't nothing wrong with that, but we cannot have no commingling when children are not reading on grade level. And I want to be fair too, because I know it's not just Black and brown children. I absolutely understand it, but I know the population, their population has a higher number of children who may be behind. So that's very concerning to me. And I'm gonna open up the flow. I'm gonna open up the flow because I was very sad to see, and I was thinking some of these people I see, I was like, have you thought about being a mentor to some of these students? These are professional people. I see a lot of lawyers. It was a lot of lawyers donating. Lawyers firms was even donating, and it's so concerning to me. It is very concerning, and everybody in this city they should be concerned. And you can go back and look at whatever number of disclosures you want to go back to. I just stopped at July, because people kind of kick up after they qualified. So I just picked, July, and said June, July, and like, let me go look at these numbers. And so, Ms. Sherelle, I want to open up the flow to you or anybody else on the call, because this was very alarming, very.
Okay, I mean, I'll give way to anybody else who wants to talk.
Okay. Anybody else? Because I can go on and on. Because I seen some entities that is around this city, who say that they are involved in education. And I've been wondering, like, what are you guys doing? Are you focused on education, or are you focused on this race within the educational system? Because I feel like there's,
Well, I agree with you in looking at a lot of the websites.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the disclosures for each one of the candidates and board members, currently sitting board members.
Mm-hmm.
The picture for me kind of told the story. as to why, at least for me, why the children in the District of Atlanta public school system was probably getting the shorter end of the stick. And so I'm agreeing with Ms. Howell. I think that the Atlanta public school system agreed by way of contractual agreement, said that they will be responsible, and not only responsible but able to teach the children in the Atlanta city, in the Atlanta city area. And so with that being said, when you do see partnerships that will land programs into schools that has, and we can look at this for years. We're not just talking about now. So don't take, again, I missed the first half because the electronic issues, who did not identify me, didn't want to authenticate me. So however, be it. I'm here now and I'm going to tell the story. So here's the story. When you see individuals who are in leadership positions, who are in administrative positions, who are in top positions, who have positions that would allow or permit them to have conversations with partners or potential partners to become partners, and then you see those programs that those partners, some, not all, but some partners, as it relates to, in particular, the education. When you start seeing programs that those particular partners look at, and I don't know, Ms. how specific you want to get, but when I see things like we talked about equity, but then I see a partnership with equity for education, or redefine, or learn for life, or capital B. That I could go on. And when you see that you have donors who are in partnership with large corporations here in the city that are driving the forces that are in the projects that are in the city, contributing to small races such as the Atlanta Board of Education, although it be an important race, but to see someone of that stature take an interest in that, and then you start following the money, you find out that those programs are linked to the programs that are teaching our children, and then you wonder why, those people who have all that money are pouring into our schools, but then our children are still reading third grade level and below, and they're graduating with that same level of education. I have to wonder. Now, some would say that these are children, maybe got disabilities, maybe they just can't read. Maybe the teachers are not teaching them right. Well, if that's the case, then guess what we need to be doing? We need to be reevaluating programs and people, partnerships, relationships, and determine if they are not working for our children for this period of 10 years, then we need to get rid of it. And if the ones who are who spearheaded that relationship, we need to get rid of them, because it is not fair to a family to have to invest into education as required by law, and then your child is educated based on based on what I lost my word. But based on the resources that are available to the school, they're using those resources and they're not effective. So they're non-productive or ineffective or non-effective, whichever way you want to put it. But relationships are only as good as the people in the relationship. And if the relationship has gone sour, we have a tendency to go to counseling and kind of get things worked out to the best of our abilities, if possible. But when you see for this many years and this much money, and when you continue to see donors and donors and donors on the same people disclosure list donating, you have to ask yourself, wait a minute, where's that money really coming from? Okay.
Yeah, that's the question that I
And
have.
you know, and my concern, I do like following the money, but more importantly, if you're gonna follow the money, if you're gonna be in partnership with them, then you need to be getting something out of it. And right now, I saw a baby who actually who had taken some gummy bears, and it was her mom took her, evaluated her through a home screening test for drugs, and came out positive. That's in school. This just happened.
That happened to my sister last year.
This just happened.
Wow.
So we're talking about relationships. We're talking about partnerships. Families are in partnership with the school because they are teaching our children. We're not supposed to be looking at, you know, whether or not you are choosing a candidate that is a fit, an appropriate fit for the school district. That's the board's job. That's the superintendent's job. If the relationship is not going to be good for the children, it should not be there. I don't care how deep their pocket goes. I don't care how much money they give to your campaign. It makes me wonder, because the people that gave to these people, to the individual campaigns that are running right now, makes me wonder what our children's education is going to look like come next year and 5 years thereafter. Are we going to be not only just a charter system, but a charter school? You can have charter public schools. I found that out from looking at one of the websites and following that money. But anyway, those rabbit holes go deep and go far and go mid and go wide. And you guys will be surprised to find out what that looks like. However, I don't need you to go that deep. When it comes to this, just ask yourself this question. Why can't our children, not just one child? It would be different if we had one child that was not being educated. You could say, oh, maybe that child right there has some issues we don't know anything about. But when you're talking about a school system, when you're talking about 87 schools that we partner with, huh? And we're not talking about how many, 50,000 children? Is that what he's saying? 50,000?
54,000. Yep.
Okay, so we know that only 30% of them are reading what on grade level? Y'all gotta ask yourself the question. I don't care if you got that money, but if you got that money, you need to let it work. And if it ain't working, then you don't need to work. Because it doesn't make sense for you to take money from people that you can't get anything from that would be beneficial. See, I like calling people out. And I would say names, but my host has told me that I'm cold. So I'm just a co-pilot. But if I was driving a plane today, right now, I would tell you without
listen, we are here. We have I had just started when you came in. So we are here and we can call names, because when you said equity in education, I seen that they donated, I believe, the max to Miss Lewis and Mr. Brooks. And I was like, okay, you know, because we asked candidate the question, you know, have you took some money, you know, and everybody told us they haven't. You know, they say that, you know, we may have took some money from individuals. And I want to just say this too. I don't want to discourage nobody from giving, but if you're giving for the wrong reason, then we the city have a problem with that.
Well,
and for so long.
And let's go further, Ms. Howard. I like how you put that.
Okay.
If your desire is to give and you like giving, then make sure that the candidate you're supporting is going to stand up for what you are supporting, which is somebody who can be representative and get education in place.
Right.
If they are not doing that for your dollar, you need to think about your dollar. Don't just be giving somebody money just to fluff up that bank account and that those accounts, and it looks good. Because ultimately, yes, they are supposed to use it for campaigning. Yes, they are. I get that. But you know, in doing so and putting that person out there, you want that person to be able to be on a board make decisions that will be beneficial not only for the students, for the community, and for the city. We spend a lot of money, $1.7 billion. I know why people want the position. I know why you're raising the money. I get that. But when you're in there, you need to be doing the job, not using the job as a stepping stone. As some people have said in some other advertisements and communications about this race. These children have suffered enough.
They have.
They've suffered enough. We've had the cheating scandal in 2014. We've gone and had all these, goals and guardrails put in place. We got another 4 plans. We got a turnaround school that we got. The governor himself said, hey, we got to do something with the city of Atlanta public school. And it brought this woman in, Maria Kristoffen, and said, hey, get this school in shape. And then what do? We handed it over to somebody else.
And speaking of her, I noticed that she donated to, I believe that was Mr. Zelf. She donated to his campaign, which I thought was interesting because you have a past superintendent donating to a specific candidate. I can see why. A lot of us know why, but I was like, wow, you really?
I can't see why.
Is she still running APS from the back end, possibly?
Oh, okay, now. Okay.
I mean, if it's some people still there that was up under her leadership, I can see that. But
more importantly, you can see partnerships and programs coming into the public school that will be beneficial in the long run.
There you go, that part.
However,
so I was shocked. I was like, wow.
I'm not going to discredit any candidate,
right.
But what I do employ people to do is go do your research. Now, if you like those kind of candidates, that's fine, but they're not for us. At least not us personally. I'm talking about for the students. So let me be clear before somebody start trying to come at me. Okay, I ain't got no problem with you coming at me because I'm a big girl. Here's the deal though. I'm trying to tell you, y'all keep talking about crime rate. You keep talking about homelessness. You keep talking about teenage pregnancy. You keep talking about drugs. You keep talking about overcrowding in the prison system. You keep talking about folks in your neighborhood that should not be in your neighborhood. But for the fact that there's no boundaries, there's an ability to wonder. But then you're not starting to invest in them when they're young.
There you go. That
the pre-K program is an excellent program. Starting young. We want your mind going in the direction that would be positive for all people. And more importantly, yourself. But if I don't get you at a young age and I allow trauma to set in, you want me to somehow use my mind to override all that. I can't see it.
Yeah.
Again, it's the adults. Now, y'all keep want to make policies for children. I'm gonna say children and students for them to follow, but then adults don't follow policy.
You better say
procedure. We don't follow law. We try to skirt by it. And in looking at some of these disclosures and these disclaimers, we see that, we're not fans of right. We're fans of what's popular.
There you go.
But what's popular is not suicide. But what's not popular, I should say, is not suicide. What's not popular is not homicide. What's not popular is being incarcerated. That's not popular. What's not popular is it's not popular to drop out. We don't want that to become popular. None of the topics that we just talked about. No parent wants to sit by and get a phone call. Whether it be the teacher, somebody come and pick up your child because your child is not fitting into our setting. They don't want to tell you your child has a disability. It's just something. Our environment. That's not what we're looking for, people. Come on now. Y'all got to wake up. Y'all got to do better. You got to do better because we can do better. And if you give him money, I know you can do better. I'm just saying, if you're going to give money, find the candidate who has the most gumption and the most ethics, and who's smart enough to get the job done, who has intelligence and wit, and the ability to stand up when they see wrong and don't see right, that's the candidate you're looking for. We put enough people there, as y'all can see. You can look back through the history now. You don't see a lot of people been called on the carpet. There've been a lot of interviews by news stations locally. We've seen individuals who've been in office now. But what I'm saying to you is, when you go look at these disclosures and the relationships of these people, the individuals, let me be specific, the candidates that are currently in this race and that are currently on the board, you find out why our students are reading and counting and writing and attending school. The interest, y'all, has got to be there. You got to be willing to make better our city. You gotta. I'm telling you. Atlanta, y'all talking about you're too busy to hate. Atlanta, you're talking about you're a black Mecca, and I'm speaking specifically to folks of color, and not to negate any other color, because I love them all, because I think we all need each other. But if you're too busy to hate, then you tell me what you're doing right now. Because I'm gonna call this right here out. I'm gonna say it on this platform, and y'all can share it. We got all these large organizations here that are for people, civil rights, their personal rights, their personal interests. But yet and still, you haven't taken an interest in education. Call me.
And on that note, I wanted to go back and say one thing. I noticed that someone who's in the pre-K space in a higher position did donate to a specific candidate.
Sure did.
Also, I know that I've asked the NAACP publicly online, hey, can you look at Atlanta literacy rate? I think they just had a voting of a new president for the Atlanta or Georgia chapter. I'm not sure. I'm not deep into that. I know they got an education committee, and yes, I know people on our board serves on that committee or have served on that committee. Yet our children rights has been violated in almost anything you could think about.
Well, you do know this, Ms. Howell, that a currently running candidate serves with the NAACP based on the conversation that we had. We also know that a current board member is a part of the NAACP in some fashion, and you have to think about anybody can bring an action to the courts that say these children's rights are being violated. They're not being educated. They're being let go out of high school with units of credits that meet the diploma requirements for the state of Georgia. Not literacy, but numbers. Now, we always talk about show me the numbers. We followed a lot of numbers in this last week. Y'all, if you want that kind of money, you need to get a candidate that can be on the board and can represent the district, represent the entire student body, interest of them in mind, not behind the partners that he got the dollars from. I'm gonna yield my time, because you know what? I could do this all night long, because it troubles me when I saw this one talked about, what do they accept students with disability? Well, I don't know how students with disability can get to be a separate topic. Education is education. The law says that we must
exactly
all. You have to find a way, but the law requires it. And so I'm just not understanding why we having such an issue, y'all. It's been over 10 years. Go back and look. According to Atlanta Public School System, we've had the highest rate of Black graduates since 2014. And y'all want to look at that number now. Last year, from 2022 to 2023, they said we had an increase of graduates by what, 0.3%. If you divide that, I'll tell y'all again about this math. Y'all divide that by the number of students, you'll find out how many students was that? We might have got one more than we had last year, collectively. So let's stop playing. And if you want to play games, that's fine. I like playing games too. But we playing to win. We ain't playing to tie. Because tie don't go to no running. I don't know who came up with that concept, but it doesn't. There's going to be somebody who is going to be and somebody who is not going to be. And so I keep saying I'm yielding, but I will. I'll yield. I'll yield.
Well, I think we're gonna have to do a part 2 either way it go. But another thing that I found that was so interesting that I haven't seen, I'm trying to think back. We had so many city council people, state people getting involved in a school board race, but I haven't seen them get involved in the issues in this school system.
Is that ironic? Especially since
Yes, I noticed that.
Especially since some of the people came from the board.
And then it seemed like they were more interested in, I think when they endorse, they don't want to move the needle. They want to keep kids struggling because you can profit off of a child struggling, basically.
Well, you know,
And since they don't live like in the inner city where most of everything go down, they don't understand how it hurt Atlanta by kind of, I'm going to say chokeholding children from getting with the resources of what they need. And it's interesting, people who make the decisions, they don't live in our communities. But they're profiting off of our children.
I was reading an article about, it said something about Harvard. I'm trying to find my phone.
yes.
Somebody from Harvard,
Yes.
profiting off of Black children. And I just was like, our children in general. And I was like, that makes me so sad, because you go through these changes and these struggles, you get your degree, and then instead of going back and helping these children prosper, you profit off of them, and you see the increase, your life changing and your life get better. But we have these children in Atlanta, like I said, like you said, Miss Sherelle, they're dropping out, they're dying, they're going to jail, they're living in poverty. And we can go back to a few administration. I remember it was said that I'm going to say this because I was in the room with this particular superintendent who said that these kids are likely going to die in poverty here in Atlanta, Georgia, the Black Mecca, the city where we got these Fortune 500 companies, where when they graduate school, half of them can't even get a job at one of these companies in the mailroom.
Right.
And we allow this to happen. And it's like, I know we see it, but I'm like, when are we going to use our voice? I seen people downtown protesting today, and that's all good if that's what you do. And I respect and I support you doing that. But for me, I need to go talk to my city council rep, my school board rep, this mayor. It saddens me that we have had Black leadership here in this city for, I think they said, the last 50 years. But look at when you see the news, and you best believe stuff happen everywhere else. Hello. But
Right.
when you look at the news, you constantly see these Black faces. Before we got started, I was reading something that popped up on my phone and said, breaking news. A man drove here with a woman in a suitcase in his car. In Atlanta,
Right.
or the Atlanta area, how have we made it okay? I seen this thing in Smyrna where this lady was trying to get some people who had kind of really broke into her home and stole her home and was living there. They got them out in the blink of an eye. But it's some people down in South Fulton been battling this same issue for the last 6, 7, probably 2-3 years, if not longer. And so a lot of this stuff falls on our leadership in our city, in our school, in our county. I watched so much resource the last couple of months go towards the Fulton County Jail, where a lot of our babies are, let's be real. And I seen so many inmates dying right behind each other. And I understand there's a lot of things behind it. I get it. But at the end of the day, why do we even have to have the jail? If we was taking care of the people, we wouldn't need the jail, which it goes back to this small but very important campaign of running for a school board. Being a school board elected official, you can make policy that help all of the kids. And everybody use that word all so loosely. But you can write up policy that affect all the kids. And here's the thing, let me say this to board members who serve on these boards, and you try to do something positive, but you get a lot of pushback. Call them out. Get your constituents to get behind you and call them out, because I noticed a literacy policy finally is coming to Atlanta public school, Atlanta independent school. Let me say that correctly.
Yeah.
But it was, a lot of baby, if y'all didn't get that wrote down correctly and put so this can be voted on immediately, because we know our babies are struggling with literacy. We're in 2023, and now we're getting a literacy policy,
Right.
Because our board chair did say that we are in a literacy crisis, which we've been in that, the last 30 years?
Yeah, but look at your board member who voted to dumb down the goals.
Okay.
Because he said that our expectation was too high for our children. So last time I checked, I expected my child to be just like everybody else in this world who's prospering and they movers and shakers.
Exactly.
And they can do that. They have the ability to do that. Mm-hmm. That's why you start educating them, and as soon as they come out, or actually before.
In the womb.
Right. So we're being intentional. But you have somebody who stand before you and say some words like that. Those words are detrimental and destructive.
And I believe that particular person, I think they moved on to something bigger and better, I believe. But, and that's the thing, because I heard a lot of conversation. It's like, oh, well, I'm not running for this to use this as a stepping stone. But we clearly see in this city, people use this school board seat as a stepping stone to go to something else. And I didn't even realize till I started having conversation, there have been, I mean, in the last 10, 20 years, there have been plenty other people who use our children's education as a stepping stone to their next political career or their next big job with somebody or something. And I'm just like, how did we miss that? How did we sit back so long and then say nothing about this? And do not get mad when I call you out, because I have no problem doing it publicly. And I know what I learned from a few parents that I know, that every time they try to speak up, y'all call defects on them, y'all got them arrested, or their kids were tormented or bullied. Yeah, exactly. So right. I do understand that some people have tried, but what they don't know now is a lot more of us are talking, and we're coming together, and we don't have no space for this stuff. I just went and looked at these numbers, and these people not even, businesses not even in this state donated to this campaign. And I know, they can do it. That's absolutely. But my thing is, what is your interest? We have all these big organizations here. They have partnership with our school, and our babies are still
let's start right there, Ms. Howell. You're right. Okay, so let's stop there. You said, what are their interests? Now, you donated the money, but I don't see your hand except in the pocket. Because I know I know you have vision, because you saw a need. So with that vision comes responsibility. If you see something, come out, see something, say something, I'm saying something. I know you see something, you said something, you might be
Exactly.
saying something too. So here's the
Mhm.
thing. I know you can see that these children are graduating without the ability to be able to move forward and move past and get a job that except for entry level. Nothing wrong with that. That's the only thing you could do. But I think we can shoot past that. If we have, I read a list out the other night of graduates we've had that have gone on from the Atlanta public school system. Now, it wasn't independent then. It was the Atlanta public school system that have been mayors, senators, they've been actors, and prominent ones at that. We have buildings named after them, airports named after them. I'm just saying.
Yes,
We
ma'am.
got folks who are well off. We got some people who are still currently living in the city, who have been on the trail of fight, but have not taken the interest of education. If you got there and you expect the next generation to get there, then I tell you, I'm saying this to now, I challenge you to get in the fight. You talking about grassroots, and everybody who hear that word know what that means, especially the ones that know that that's how they used it and got what they needed.
Yep.
I'm challenging you tonight. Find yourself not only giving the money, but when you give the money, you make a requirement of that money, that money does something that is going to be beneficial and uplifting of children to the point where they can support themselves, their family, and their community. If they can't do that, the person that you're supporting wastes your dollars. Your dollars are lost. And we can say what we want to say, and I know how the game goes. Got that. And I respect your game. But what I'm saying to you is that we don't have another millisecond to wait on another
Right.
child who hasn't even begun to go to school. We don't have another millisecond to wait. And if you're going to be from out of town and donating, you keep right on doing it, but you make a requirement that I need to see work my actions for my money.
That's right.
That's what you need to say. And if they're not doing it, you need to say, look, I went out there on a limb and and gave some money, at least donated to the cause. And I thought the cause was going to really produce yield some good fruits. But it hadn't yielded anything that has been beneficial to the city of Atlanta. Now, you know what I have seen though? I've seen the economic conditions change. I've seen that. I know that we're talking about affordable housing. I know that we do have affordable housing, but it's affordable to those who can afford it. So those who can afford affordable housing that we have right now can afford those housing. But those same communities, and I can tell you, is oddly, and I'm gonna go off the rail, oddly in the area of Perry Homes, which was in the district of Clara Maxwell Pitts Elementary School and Samuel Howell Archer High School. There used to be a project called Herman E. Perry Homes. Okay. It was called the projects. And it was a part of an experiment to see what those Black people would do in that area. And I'm saying this because currently there sits property in that area that starts from 300,000 to 500,000. And the people who used to live there, nobody wanted to come in the area, including at one point the buses or mail carrier. Okay? But now the people who used to live on those grounds, who had to endure the smoke and the chemicals that came from the train and the messed up water that came from it, the soil that had contaminants in it, the rats and the roaches, There was even a war that came through. There's a marker there. Go and look it up. There's even an Indian burial ground that's attached too. But they can't afford to go and live there now because it's too expensive. But we're talking about affordable housing. Okay? So if you want them to afford those houses that you're talking about building, and you want to keep making that profit like you're talking about, yeah, you're going to find somebody. But, you know, we're going to run out of some people because you know what, the market and the real estate market right now is in a little bit of trouble itself. However, if you're talking about that, teach these children and stop playing with them. Stop giving these non-effective and non-productive programs in these schools. And if you're sitting on the board currently, you need to look in your bag of tricks and find one that works. Because you know what? The game is up. The game is up.
Yes, ma'am. And for that record, I am a product of that, and you are speaking absolutely fact to every word you are saying. We endure a lot living over there. Nobody wants to come down and be bothered. And now being an adult, having my own family, and navigating life, it makes me think about what did our mayor then, our city council, our school board, it made me think about what did they do for us then? Because I will say this, and I see how education have changed. Because when I walked into Claire Maxwell Pitts, I felt love. I felt like my teacher could handle me. My principal was gonna make sure I was okay, and he was gonna get in my tail at the same time when I go in there and cut up from time to time, which I did. And I was able to navigate life. And I noticed a lot of us navigated life on the best of our ability. But now being an adult and looking back, I think about that. I'm gonna give you an example. In this last mayoral race, one particular young lady ran on the fact that she closed down those apartments and she got everything redeveloped. And guess what? She didn't make it to the runoff because the people who saw that and knew the truth was so outraged and so disgusted by that video because you depict it as a war zone. And guess what? It's still plenty of war zone around the city of Atlanta, Mayor. We need to get taken care of. There's a lot of people living in terrible condition because they didn't get the decent education so that they can afford some decent. But then let's go back around. Let's say some people who did make it out, they got maybe a associate's degree. They still can't afford to live in a city that's too busy to hate.
Right.
And this is the Black Mecca. People flop here for opportunities, but I know we don't give the opportunity that to the people and the children who are already here. I'm gonna give you another education example. When we were going through the transition of them moving the second permanent superintendent that we had. And I remember I seen something so despicable, I will never forget it. There was, I want to say, a representative that was on their last leg of life. And people lift him up. I seen two people stand next to him just so he can make a plea to keep somebody the board was getting rid of. We was willing to bring that person off their sick bed, and we ain't willing to go take care of these damn children here in the city of Atlanta. That was the most disgusting thing I seen. I was happy that she had went on about her business, but we didn't get any better. But what I seen, why y'all didn't pick him up for the absentee rate that we had, the dropout rate, the truancy rate? Why y'all didn't pick him up?
The literacy rate.
Exactly. Why wasn't he picked? He was picked up to keep an adult grown woman in a seat.
Right.
To collect over $300,000 a year when children who look like me was not even reading near grade level.
Right.
And it made me think about how we have babies who are graduating high school right now and they can't even read on a sixth grade. Notice I went past fifth. They can't even read on the sixth grade level. That's not every child. But according to y'all down, they graduating. And I said this before, I'll say it again. When I seen this young lady pay for her food and she gave the people too much money and the young lady, the cashier gave her the extra money back. That made me feel some type of way because I know we still got some good people around, but I was so hurt. I was so hurt at that beautiful little girl who was right there, probably my son age, and she got her job and she navigating life, but she can easily be cheated because she missed some things while she was in school. That was real life. I just witnessed this a few weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago.
Right.
And that's how this stuff affect our children. And that's why I'm sorry. I'm pissed. I'm pissed about when I see all
Not
these
only
people.
that, Waukesha, why are they celebrating 86% above?
Mhm.
And kids are not on grade level. Something ain't right.
And
You
it don't be
know.
some articles. It don't be some news article that came out that saying, hey, they not the popular one. And you can judge the news on your own. I would just say go do the research yourself, because before I did this space, before I hold space here, I got word that a news outlet was going to do a follow the money article. And I've been waiting on it. And maybe it'll come out right before election, maybe. But I haven't seen it yet.
Look, if kids ain't on level, how is the index? So
The math
something
ain't
ain't
math.
adding up.
It's not mathing at all. And before we had this conversation here, I was hoping that somebody else would bring this up, because I'm just a regular, mom here in the city. So who are you? I am me, and I'm the one that's willing to speak up regardless of however people feel or they think, or what you think my credentials are or my educational background. I'm willing to say something. Miss Sherelle said it. Our chief said, when you see something, say something.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you telling children to do that, but adults not doing that, we got a problem.
Right.
If adults ain't saying nothing about the buffoonery that they see happening to these children,
They're part of the problem.
Absolutely. But why do we expect, if you're not following your own rules, how do we expect children to do it?
Nope, it ain't gonna happen.
I mean, it don't make no sense, and it's sad because
And if you pumping money into an ecosystem that your kids don't even go to school in or live in, or you don't even come into the community and brush shoulders with us,
okay,
you ought to quit. Like that just don't make any sense.
It doesn't.
I've seen people saying they do engagement, and Waukesha, I had a conversation with you the other day. I seen somebody at a school event, and they're supposed to be like a face of the community, and they were literally hiding from me. I'm like, regular old parent.
Why would they be hiding from you though?
I don't know. I guess people not operating right, and they know maybe we know the truth. So
that's it.
They out here finessing young people and communities, and then they wonder why it's crime. And the mayor have the year of the youth, but I don't know. I don't want to accuse him of not having a good intention, but maybe the people around him don't have good intention because they're setting up their friends to benefit off the year of the youth.
But let's just talk about that year of youth. Okay. It's kind of like when we feed the homeless Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Oh, okay.
But they home now, and last time I checked, based on the calendar, I know it's not the Gregorian calendar. Nevertheless, it's a calendar that runs from January to December. But we feed our homeless people, or our homeless population, let me be clear so I can be politically correct, on Thanksgiving and Christmas. Like that's the only time they're hungry. And the only time they need a bear, the only time they need some clothes.
Yes, ma'am.
So we're going to go to the year to you. Mr. Mayor, I'm proud of you for the successes that you had. And I wish to God and pray to God that you have many, many more. But what I'm going to say is that everybody don't play basketball. And those who have played basketball in school, whether it be high school, middle school, high school, college, don't go on to be professional ball players. And there are other things that will speak to other youths. Even if you can't do it, You have a lot of resources that are available that you can get partnerships with students that would be beneficial than basketball. And I know that when you got the game going, there's camaraderie going, you get to relieve stress and bond. I got that. But everybody don't bond with athletics. And for the children who have disability, who have been overlooked in the Atlanta public school system. And the gap is, if you go and look, the gap is about 5 years or more. Basketball doesn't speak to them because you know what that happens? Is you're putting them in the room with everybody else. And some of those children with disabilities can't be in the company of that many people. And in that environment, because the environment is too stimulating. So again, I'm going to challenge you to find something else. And if you can't find that something else, call us. We can help you find something else.
Absolutely.
I'll be more than happy to do so. And for those of you who work for them, and you're going to go back and look at this and critique this and criticize it and say, they just two crazy people in the city of Atlanta. No, I'm a citizen just like everybody else and a taxpayer, I might add. So I have the right and the ability to be able to comment. I'm not being disparaging to anyone. What I'm simply stating are the things that we can actually see. Everybody can see with their eyes. Everybody can see with their hands. Because there are some of us who have limited sight. But one thing you know what you know when you see it, when you hear it, when you smell it, and when you touch it. And your mama said if it quack like a duck and it walks like a duck, it ain't even necessarily got to have a duck, the duck's color, because we know things change. But it's probably one. You believe me, it's going to be a duck. So my suggestion is that we stop pandering. I'm going to use that SAT word. Stop pandering to some and start looking at the ones that the Bible says that are what? The least among you.
Yes, ma'am.
And find it correct in your spirit to know that your city is going awry based on the fact that you're not following the moral guidelines. Policy is one thing, position is another. Responsibility to your mankind, your fellow mankind is another. And how we do that, we all lift each other up so that we can all go up at the same time. We're not going to all be rich. We're not going to all be poor, and we're going to have some middle class in there in between. But at least put them on the map. Right now, they're not on the map. They're not being given the appropriate opportunity to succeed. We talk a lot, adults. And I was looking at something I sent Ms. Howell that I thought was appropriate. So I'm going to say, if we don't deal with adults, the adult behaviors that control the school environment, how do we expect to be able to identify and help the immature brains that are still under development? One of the last places in the brain to mature is the prefrontal cortex. Is thought of as the personality center and is the cortical region that makes us uniquely human. What part of the brain are you working with? That's all I'm going to ask you. I'll yield.
I appreciate that because it was so much to speak about. One place I want to go, which you specifically talked about, where I know we share the same sentiment, our special need population. When we're speaking, we're talking about so many kids being behind. We're talking about the kids in general education classes. The kids who are in the special education class, just imagine, a lot of them graduate, they get a diploma. And then a lot of them are unable to go to college. They're unable to get a job. And they can't, because I know this from experience working with families, just depend on their disability, especially given in the time we're in our city right now, where everything gets inflated. So to the mayor, I would say, please find something else. Find other programs. Find programs for them. Programs that'll work for them. Basketball is nice, but I noticed that a lot of the major metropolitan cities was having this same midnight basketball type of initiative. And I realized that those cities was ran raggedy with crime and drugs and things that are happening to the younger generation. And we all see, I see this coming all the time. I don't know what's going on with this generation. It's the adults. It's us. It's us, the adults. We are the ones that's supposed to set ways for them. And you can no longer say, oh, that's not my children. That's not my problem. Because it becomes your problem when they come into your community and they knock on your door or your window, or they open your car door or window. Then
And your tax bill dollars are being spent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a problem. And so we need something else. I'm happy that we haven't seen as many photos, but I noticed the mayor is starting to go to schools. That's nice. Let's make sure that they have the proper partnership. Let's make sure families who are behind on their mortgage, their rent, families, and this ain't to negate other people because individuals need their help. But we talking about these families that have small children who gonna be the doctor and the lawyer and the nurse for us in the future. I want them to take care of me with care. I want them to take care of me and they know exactly what they're doing. But if our city leaders are not working together and we're doing parties over people, that's not benefiting our children and that's not benefiting our community. And we don't have enough people speaking about it. That's why when I look at these, I got pages of people donating thousands of dollars. I would have loved to see them donate that to the school. And I'm even thinking to myself, have I even seen these people donate to the school? I'll give you one thing that I seen. I seen the Arthur Blanks Foundation. They donated to a candidate. I know they have donated in education. I'm curious to see, have they seen a return on their investment?
Right.
I'm very curious to see that because I see you have people within their organization that have donated in this school board race. And I believe that you have a partnership with the school system. And I'm going to say this because I'm going to say it. Falcon tickets, that's nice. But do they help our babies count money and read? Do it. I saw that and I was like, wow. I seen other big organizations, Georgia Can. I was just on a meeting with them and I was so shocked at how they was acting when I tried to ask a question. We had some current board members on there and I was trying to ask a neutral question. Hand raised for about 10 minutes. They said, oh, we're not taking no more questions. Put it in the chat. They turned the chat off. My only thing is this. You're donating to a candidate. I see it. Okay, cool. Only thing I was asking, when are you guys going to educate parents? Because that's what you do. That's what you say you do. When are you going to educate the parents on how to follow the chain of command and go through their school when they have these issues? Nobody is excluding them because they're a part of this or that. When are we going to say, hey, you know what? You got to go speak to them. They can take care of this immediately.
You know what when you said that jarred something. and so I do like that challenge to for those individuals who have contributed and to a campaign or to a school or to a program to find out if your money has yielded what was actually stated in the beginning of the relationship. And if it hasn't, unless you just don't like money, which I think you do, based on the fact that you're in the position of making money, you need to. No, let me correct that because I don't tell adults what they need to do, but I implore you to go look and see if your money is yielding the results that you thought it would. And if it's not doing what you thought and what you stand for, because there are a lot of great companies, a lot of great organizations that are supporting the school district. But if they're not representing you and your mission, you need to rethink the relationship. You know what's odd, Ms. Howell was talking about, schools and supporting schools and students. What no one is talking about is that when a parent can't get something from the school system, and they go through the chain of command, which is, you go seek out the entry person. And then the next thing that happens is you go up the chain of command trying to get results that will be beneficial to your student, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you get to the end of a semester and you find out that there's no progress. And then you get to the end of the next semester, you find that there's no progress, but what y'all don't realize is that they don't have to promote you. They can place you in the next grade.
Yep.
Go look at it for yourself and check it out.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the other thing I want you to look at. But nobody's talking about it when a parent has done all they can as it relates to following law and policies and procedures of schools. They go to this wonderful court. It's called Office of Student Administrative Hearing to file a complaint based on the fact that they believe, based on the data and the results that they've seen, that their student is not being served appropriately. The odd part about that is that the law firm that represents the school also fights the parent, who is the taxpayer, who paid the money for the school. Now, you ain't got to believe me. You can go check that out.
Yourself.
I'm telling you, I got to fight for my child's right to be educated. And then I got to fight the people who are representing the school system to fight them. Pay, let me say, not use my taxpayer dollars, but use my own hard-earned money to pay an attorney to fight an attorney who represents the school system, which represent my children, right? Who educate my children. But they didn't educate them. So I had to go into a court to say, hey, they're not being serviced appropriately. They're not being educated appropriately. But I pay them. So that same firm is representing the district. But parents have to fight that same firm. You know what's odd about this whole thing too? That system in itself, the courts, is not geared up for the parents to win. I'm gonna stop there, but here again,
Not at all.
but I will say for those of you, and I'm not on no party line, Democrat or Republican, independent or independent to Democrat. The governor of the state of Georgia made it possible for parents to get involved in their student education. And then we had some who kicked back on that. Oh, why? Well, if you go look at the numbers, you'll know why. And I think Sherry has her hand up.
She do. Go ahead, Sherry.
Miss Sherelle, to your point, you think a lot of this underhanded stuff is shifting the party line? People are losing votes. The party is losing people. The Democratic Party, I'm gonna just say, is possibly losing people, or people are not motivated to vote anymore because a lot of underhanded stuff been going on, or not been going on. It's happening.
Well,
And people are losing faith in the party.
Okay, well, let me just say this. I'm not gonna put it on Democrats or Republicans or liberals or independent.
Okay.
Independent. And I say this because I what I don't want to do is be disparaging to any political party, because that's not what our intent is. Our intent is to stick with people and say, hey, we know for a fact that there are things that are going on that is costing us, that is costing our city, it's costing our county, it's costing our state, it is costing the United States of America. And again, without disclosing my own party, which I'm sure a lot of people will go and look this up, you'll find out what party I belong to. But I'm going to say this right here, our governor made it possible for parents to get involved in their child's education. So you are a taxpayer. Stop playing games with political parties. I don't care what party you belong to. I belong to the party of education. I belong to the party of independency when it comes to families. I belong to the party of right. I belong to the party of prosperity and growth. I belong to the party of truth and facts. My party is not in the pocket, and I don't know if Ms. Howell said this at the beginning, but we are not receiving any funds, any monies, any envelopes, gold or white, from anybody. Nobody is cash apping, Zelling, or Apple paying us to do a thing. We want you to do the same thing we're doing, have a conversation. There is nothing wrong with having a conversation. And if it is, that means somebody got some dirt somewhere they don't want told. Just like tonight when I couldn't get on. But guess what? I'm here. And I'm going to be here because you know what? I live in this city. I ain't going nowhere. And my children are educated in this system just like I was. But I've grown up and I realized that it wasn't the same for me as it was for some. That's what I did realize.
I want to I went and grabbed while you were speaking, Ms. Sherelle. Our governor here, they had a parents' bill of rights. I want to say it possibly was created out of COVID, and it give parents these rights and autonomy or whatever. I remember it just a little bit, and you can go check it out for yourself. I got it in chat, and I'll attach it to this video. We have to figure out how to make things work for us. We understand how to be active parents, and we want to see more parents, more grandparents, aunts and uncles, because that's what I know Miss Sherelle had. That's what we had. We want to see them be more engaged. We don't want to see them being bullied and intimidated to not be engaged and know what's going on. To Miss Sherry's point of, I don't want to vote. I don't want to get involved. I don't want to know what's going on. Because they're tired. We are tired of having to fight the establishment. We got other stuff to be doing. My baby just walked past me with some work she want me to help her with, and I'm gonna do it as soon as I'm done with this. And she's doing it just because I told her to do something. So, and it's the weekend, So I'm just like, we have to use what we have, and what we have right now is our voice to say, in this race, in this space, in this city, we won't battle for our children right now. We do not just want them to graduate with a degree and nothing tangible or nothing is attached to it. Nothing is kept. One thing I learned, I went down because I'm a PTA mom, and I went down to the Capitol. They had PTA day at the Capitol. And I learned how, you can go in and you can look at all this different stuff, what they doing and talking about at the Gold Dome. And I'm like, wow, I don't done this before, but I seen so many people and their children there. Some of us don't even get that opportunity, and we don't live in this city our whole life. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say it again, because this applies to the school board race, the reason why we're here. These people work for us. We are the school board boss. The school board hired the superintendent, which that's their boss. The superintendent boss is the school board members who we are the boss of. Then that superintendent is the boss over these teachers, these staff, these specialists, the library, the PE coach, and everybody, the bus driver, and everybody in between. Mm-hmm. That's the chain of command. But some kind of way, especially in our community, that has been flipped as is, especially us who don't have a lot, our voice don't matter. And I said this the other day, we get judged because we have mental health issues. We get judged because we smell like something. We get judged because we look like something. We get judged because we came up here with these two little clothes on, not knowing that that's all I got. That's all that I got clean. And I say that because when I was on the school board, I think this was the budget meeting and another meeting, the young lady said something about having access. Well, I can tell you right now, Miss Sherry and Waukesha and a few others work hard for the Washington cluster to have washers and dryers. Oh, well, you know, we don't have, nobody is advertising. They should advertise, but they don't. But never be afraid to say, hey, listen, social worker, hello, counselor, hello, or just say your baby teacher. Miss Sherry, my baby clothes are dirty, and you know, I don't have no money to go to the wash house, you know, and I just learned that they have wash spaces for people who are homeless. Can you tell me how I can help get his clothes clean? Now here's the thing. Before she have to swallow all this pride, you see and you smelt that baby when they came in for the last 2 months, and you looked at them. You looked at their hair. You looked at the clothes, their shoes, too big or too little. You knew before she even, if she did, come to you and say, hey, I need to use their washing dryer. And I know I was one of the people on the front line fighting for that because I learned that they have showers in the schools.
Yes.
I'm gonna be honest, y'all. Before that, I didn't know that. I didn't know they have, if your baby wet themselves, because you hear this all the time. Children come home and they're soaked and soiled. I learned that they have a shower space. I learned that they have little deodorant kits. I shouldn't even be bullied because I'm musty. They have deodorant they can give my baby, or they could give to me as a kid. You know, they could have washed my clothes. Like this, these are things that we can do that change how our baby interact with their peers and their teachers throughout the day and what they receive. Because if they receive that once I walk in here, child, you don't care nothing about me either. They know it, y'all. They know it. You think them kids graduate and got their diploma, they proud, and we proud of them too. But they know they only know so much.
Right.
They know how far they can go. And that's why I'm sorry, but it's upsetting to us when we see all this commingling. We don't seen it before. I say little things from here and there, but nobody has had the balls to stand up and say, we can no longer do this. Our children matter, our community matter, whether you are poor or rich, you still matter. But we know right now in this city, we have a race, we have families that's struggling, we have children who are struggling just to learn how to read. Most of them don't even know how to write their name in cursive, y'all. Like these are simple things that, you know, everybody always, oh, it's the parent, it's the parent. I say this all the time and people don't like it. The same system that felt their children felt them parents. Hello?
Nope.
That was the same system. A lot of times it just be different people. That's it. And I'll say this, we have an opportunity to do something better here. We can keep on with the same old, or we can stand up and say, because the voter turnout is low. I've been watching the numbers. We're not going out. We're not using, and I'm not forcing you or making you, because no matter who wins, I want you to be engaged with that individual, and I want you to be engaged with the rest of the board. I also want you to go to that school, be engaged with them, find out who the superintendent is, find out what they're doing with the process, be engaged with them. Because guess what? If they ain't willing to be engaged with you, if they too busy to talk to a parent, maybe they're not the person for that position. Hello? Including the teacher. I know they got a lot going on. I know the principal got a lot going on, but if you're too busy to have a conversation with a parent, then guess what? It's time to get somebody else to do it. I'm sorry.
Right.
You said it, Miss Sherelle, we don't have a millisecond to waste on making sure our babies get a good education. And we had this conversation with good intentions because we want to I ain't gonna say I'm be fair. I'm putting you on notice that we know what's going on and we are here to push for change, grassroots. Individual parents, we are pushing in our own capacity for change because we're tired of it. We are tired of seeing some children get fed and some don't. And don't get me wrong, because this ain't about race, because I watch how we treat our own. Hello?
Mm.
We don't even take care of our own. And we have the audacity. It's the parent, it's the community. Well, you part of the community. We elected you to do something. I said this earlier. I appreciate the board making a decision to, it's time to part ways and look for a new leadership. But I'm gonna say this. If we can't find something in this go around, we need to hold on to who we have, and we need to go through this process again. It ain't no reason to rush. I know they already got some people in mind. That's why that's why we got so many people donate to these campaigns, because they already got some people in mind to go along with the vote, to have a certain people. We not crazy, baby. We just look like this. We know what time it is, and we tired. I'm tired of looking at the news and I see a child being murdered. I have elementary, middle school, high school, and even college age students. Well, babies, because they mine. I have a sister getting ready to go to college. I can't even fathom if something happened to them. And we have the opportunities. Miss Sherelle, you spoke about the previous Perry home, which is now labeled as the Upper West Side.
Yes.
I remember we had Gate City over here.
Yes.
We had Boyd over there. We had Boyd. We had Claire Maxwell Pitts. We had Archer High School.
And we
I
had
can
Scott,
remember.
we had Scott.
And we had Scott. We right around the corner.
Right.
And we was able to walk to school safe. We came home safe. We had people that loved on us. They had programs. It's so amazing, because I think in the 80s, how innovative they was, and we talking about innovation now.
Yeah.
They created, I remember them big old IBM computers.
Right.
Them big bats. That's the big bats.
We had Girl Scout. We had an
Boy
EOA
Scout.
center. We had an EOA center that was there.
Here's another one that I seen recently. I was disappointed. We had 100 Black Men.
Yep. Yes.
We had Project Harambe. We learned about our heritage. We learned about others. We learned how to stomp, like we was going off to be part of something big in college. We learned all these different things then. And we're talking about innovation. And this the part hurt me bad. We have $1 billion budget. And we're not, and we're not educating babies on grade level. That's absolutely unacceptable. When Booker T. Washington, when that school first started and people had to come, I heard they had to pay to come from every which way to come to school, to this African-American school, where they had thousands of children enrolled. And those kids graduated to be some of the most brilliant minds, Dr. King. They graduated to be some of the most brilliant people, and they had almost zero of a budget. And we got $1 billion right now in 2023, and we don't have these children on grade level. That math don't math. That math don't math at all, and it hurts. It hurts bad, because we pay our property taxes, we pay our taxes that goes to education. And I realize, and I feel like we are doing this to give and keep people in a job, and we don't lost the way of the children. We don't lost the way of educating.
But if you were a CEO of a company and your employee didn't produce, you do what?
You get rid of them. You get rid of them.
If your employee was not following your mission and the direction in which you wanted to take your company, you would do what?
You get them out of there.
If you had a company and what you were doing was not beneficial and didn't yield you any profits, past the point of what you put into the business, you do what? Rethink it. You rework that plan and find one that will work for you. So no, I'm going to go back to Sherry. I'll say that the message, you know, I had to be careful. I'll say the message is not coming across from one party. And I'll say that, you know, it's time out for marching in the streets. And I know that people like to galvanize, but it's about action. We've done that. And they expect that. Put your money where your mouth is. Put your work where your money is. Your mouth is your vote, your voice. You can make a difference this time around. We've had many, many, many school board races. We've had many races inside the city of Atlanta. We've had many races in Fulton County and going on right now, and we'll be come what, November what, 6th, 7th?
The 7th.
There you go. But here it is. We keep doing the same thing and expecting different results. Somebody said that was insanity. I'm not saying it's insanity. What I'm saying is simply we need to really look. And I know that I'm speaking to somebody who has the gumption. Well, let me say this. I know we're speaking to a couple of ears out there that realize that a change needs to happen. We can no longer blame this one and blame that one without start looking at ourselves first. I looked at myself first, and I decided that I had a voice. I had a choice to be on here or not be on here. But I've seen the results that have come out of the school system in the last 10 years. I've seen it past that point, but we're going to talk about the last 10. I've seen that, you know, we had turnaround schools and we, you know, changed the Golden Guardrails. We've had, you know, companies that come on in and evaluate and try to create plans, and they have not worked. But then we did, well, since they didn't work, we dumbed down. And I'm going to say, call me if you don't really like my word, dumb down. But I saw that we dumbed down the goal just to fit the narrative. You know what? We start creating our own narratives, we wouldn't have to worry about dumbing down somebody else's. Write your story, Atlanta. Tell your story with facts and with truth. Y'all know we could do better. Y'all know we can. It's not that difficult. It's not. And you know what? You don't need money to teach a child, but you do need it to support a child. But in order for the child to support itself, you're going to have to teach it. And I don't care what you say. We've got to do our parts. Somebody taught you. Somebody made a way for you. Somebody supported you. Somebody gave you an opportunity. Even when you had the smarts, even when you had the degrees, even when you were on the right side of town, somebody gave you an opportunity. Somebody saw something in you. See something in one of the children. If you don't want to continue to invest, find a child. Invest in that one child. And find out whether or not your dollars are going to yield results. I guarantee you will. You can plant 2 plants, one on the opposite side of the building. We're going to plant a plant on the east side where the sun rises. And we're going to plant a plant on what? The north side. But the sun sets what? In the what? West. The plant in the east grew a lot bigger and had foliage that was more prettier and with deeper color. That's because it got the sun. Atlanta, you are the sun. You can enrich a child's life. Instead of issuing disparaging statements, remarks, and terms or labels, let's invest. Invest in children, not in people. Because we've seen that what people will do for you. We've seen what people will do. I'm not telling you to lose your faith in mankind, because you know what? That's all we have. But what we've got to do is we got to reevaluate. We've got to stop, pause, reevaluate, reassess, and create another plan, because this is not working. It's not going to work. So for the leaders in this city, I need y'all to start looking at something other than who's in your pocket. You want to know what the year of the youth should look like? Stop looking in your pocket.
Well, I appreciate that. And I know we get ready to wrap up because we can go on and on. But if you have not gathered anything from this conversation, be on notice that we notice. We notice a lot of things have been pulled over the city head for a long time. But we notice that something is not right here. And we're willing to call it for what it is. And we're willing to push for change in this city. And guess what? I don't mind talking to no Democrat, Republican, liberal. If it's gonna help these babies, and I ain't talking about trading off and selling off. If it's gonna help these babies, I don't mind having a conversation with people. Because sometimes you think people know and they don't. A lot of us live in our own individual community, towns, and city. And so I'm willing to have a conversation. I met the superintendent of Georgia. I met him before, decent young man. I was willing to have a conversation. I don't care if he's, appointed by him, elected by them. That doesn't matter. What I care about is what I'm seeing. And I'm seeing too many children be failed by the school system, this city, and this state. And especially our children with special education and special needs. We have to have some change now. And we went and we dug and we did the research because we want to know what's the agenda. What's the agenda is? What the agenda? What is the ulterior motive? What is being hidden from us? Because we are tired. I'm gonna say it again. We tired, and I'm gonna say it again. We tired, and we tired enough to what we willing to do something about it now. We willing to do something because it don't go on too long, and we seeing too many of our babies just go out into this world, and it's nothing. It's nothing for them.
Right.
It's nothing for them because of what they got. People don't understand how important your child education experience is. It all starts there. Education starts in the womb.
Right.
That's why we have to make sure this mom have the best nutrition, the best water, the best prenatal care. Hello, that's my other area as well. We have to make sure before you even bust into this world that you have the best already. Absolutely. Right. And we got to make sure that we don't have so many kids dying in poverty like we have heard in the past. I'm going to end on this. We need to change that narrative.
Right.
Because you're born this way, or what they say, because you're born in this zip code, they can tell you when you're going to die.
Right.
We want that to change now. I'll yield the flow to anybody else. November the 7th is election day. Early voting starts right now. We ain't just have this conversation because we wanted to waste time in our breath or hear ourselves speak. We had this because we want you to go do your own research on each one of those candidates, whether you like them or not. We just pointed out some stuff that stuck out like it just stuck out. And we couldn't, but it's right there in plain sight. Like nothing is hidden from us anymore. So go check it out. And then you go to the ballot and take your friend and my sister, we just said before we started, we was like, okay, we got to set a date. Because guess what? We take each other. We take each other to go vote. We meet each other. That's and right. Guess what? Everybody be headed to work after they cast their vote, get their little slip. We go on to work. Right. We don't did our civil duty. Right. But we want others to do it as well because I don't care what nobody say. Your voice do matter. You matter. No matter where you live, how much money you got, how you look. You matter. You do matter.
Mhm.
And it is some people out here that care about you. It surely is. And it is
Mhm.
some people that's willing to stand up and speak up because they are tired of what you have to endure.
Right.
So Atlanta, 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 we have an opportunity to change this. We have an opportunity, and we're going to keep pushing, and we're going to continue to have these conversations, and we're open to have them with other people. Don't ever think for a second, oh, you hate that person. I don't hate anyone.
Right.
I will always call you no matter who you are on BS, especially when it affects children.
Right.
I'm going to close there. I hope you guys have an awesome week this week. If you get the opportunity, please go do early voting. There are so many poll places that have almost zero time, wait to go in and cast your vote. This is the best time. I know people gonna start talking about, the 7th. Oh, this changed and I had this problem. Well, go now. Go now. Go now and cast your vote. And before you go, you do your research. And if somebody call you and say, well, it's this, this, and this, you listen. Go ahead. But you also go do your own research and know for yourself, so you don't be disappointed later. Oh, I should have did. I hear that a lot now. Oh, I should have went with that other person. Well, do your own research. It's nothing wrong with listening to people. It's nothing wrong with gathering literature and looking at these flyers that people come to your door and pass out. And even talking to these candidates. Because guess what? You may be lucky to get a candidate to knock on your door. You may be lucky to get in a room where they are hosting a forum or a space, and you can ask them the question that means the most to you. Because you best believe these people on that paper, they know what's gonna happen. They know what's gonna happen if their candidate win. They already know. We just here to share with you. So with that being said, I'm gonna close us out. Anybody else? I give a moment for anybody else to have the flow. I also put that parent bill of rights thing. I put that's legislation actually. Let me not say a thing. That is legislation here in Georgia. Parents have rights, and they might say, oh, this is for these people. Well, figure out how it can work for you and your people. How about that? Or if you don't like that, get with your legislator and see, can y'all write something else or change some wording? It happens all the time. What did I say when I first opened this up? They changed the funds that you can donate. Used to be about, I think, 2,500. Now it's 3,300. 3,300. And I'll be fair, a lot of stuff do cost. I get it. But it costs you nothing to walk up to a parent or walk up to a door and knock on a door and really talk to someone and get to know them and truly ask for their vote, instead of sending dirty mail or dirty email. Get that candidate in your face. Go ask that candidate yourself your question. Figure out how to get into. They're very accessible. They want your vote. And guess what? We got another race coming up in a few more months. Another big one on next year, next November. Go ahead and start doing your research now. Go ahead. Don't wait on nobody. Don't wait on nobody. One thing I know, a lot of people, they some hustlers. They some go get it. But guess what? When it comes to the policy that's being made over you, your family, and your community, go get that. Go get that. I'll land. I'm Waukesha.
Miss Howard, boy, I tell you, I appreciate you being a community champion.
Yes, ma'am.
Because if we don't start now, then when?
Yep.
And we don't think about now, then when? And if it's not you, then who? So I appreciate you for wanting to be a champion and for standing up and speaking not just for yourself, being selfish. You're talking about other people, which makes up our community, which makes us all better. So Atlanta, and those of you who are listening to live or by recording, we appreciate your listening ears and your attentiveness. Go do your research even on us, okay? Because we're not off limit. And, I was often said, you know, you be judged by the same measure that you judge somebody else. Please judge me. I'm just a mom who, I should say, I am a mom, but a community member, a taxpayer. I am a voice for the voiceless, and I represent a population that has been long forgotten, have long been neglected and marginalized. And I'm not talking about Black folks. I'm talking about people with disabilities. So I don't want you to get it twisted. You think it's about race for me, because it's not. It's about people with disabilities.
Yes, ma'am.
And they have the ability to do a lot, but we care not to get to know them. What we want to do is we want to minimize their presence. But everybody in this particular world, and what I'm talking about now in our city, has the ability to contribute in some way or another. You have to find that way. But in order to do that, you have got to vote for, in this race, in the mayor's race, in the governor's race, in the presidential race. The commissioner's race, I forgot that one. So don't take our word for it, because you know what? They put it down, and they are careful about some things, but it's down. It's written down for you to go see. So I want you to know that we appreciate your attentiveness, your caring spirit to just listen. If you do nothing with it, it marinates with you. And I'm good with that. Because at least your thought process about what is going on, what has gone on, won't be the same. If it is, you'll be in denial. But we need you to step up and be the city that cannot hate, because we're too busy working. We don't have that kind of time. It doesn't matter for who it is. We're doing it for our city. We're doing it for our county, our state, and the United States of America. Stop playing politics. Stop being politricks. And play the game with passion, so you can educate all, so we can all win. I'll say good night. I appreciate you. I care for all of you, even those who may not even care for me. It doesn't really matter. Because you know what? I realize that you too are important, because we all matter in this game.
And with that being said, good night, Atlanta. And I hope you have enjoyed this conversation. There will be plenty more to come. Thank you.